Evelyn was breathing hard, taking short breaths that did not feel like enough. The red light on her arm was still. It felt like it was on fire, but it was not getting any worse. It was like her arm was starting to feel something rather than just hurting. The pain was not a sting anymore, it was a deep and old feeling, like something her body remembered from a long time ago, even if her mind did not understand what it was. Evelyn was on her knees on the floor, one hand was on the ground to hold herself up and the other hand was holding her arm tight. The scarlet crown chamber was shaking around her. Mira tried to get from Lucien, who was holding her gently. Her little face was white with fear. "Mom," she cried out again. Her voice was loud in the room. "You are hurting Mira," she said. Mira was really scared. Lucien let go of Mira away. He bent down again. It was not because he was giving up, it was more like he was showing a lot of respect to Mira and her family. He let Mira go completely. She quickly ran to her mother, Evelyn, and wrapped her arms around Evelyn's neck. The light on Mira's palm got a little weaker, but it did not go away, it just became a gentle glow under her skin, like a tiny flame that was still burning. The glow on Mira's palm was still there. Lucien Voss, the king of the Blood Moon dynasty, stood up slowly. All the nobles in the room felt it, the change in him. This was not the king they were afraid of. This was the king of the Blood Moon dynasty, something much older and more frightening. When the vampire king of the Blood Moon dynasty spoke, his voice was loud and strong, like the walls themselves were talking. The man said, "Do not move," and everyone had to listen to him. No one was allowed to move. People were really afraid to do anything that went against the rules. Nobody was brave enough to disobey. Evelyn looked up at him. Tears were streaming down her face. She had not even noticed that she was crying. Her voice was shaking badly. "Your Majesty, please do not be angry with my daughter. My daughter did not mean to be rude. My daughter does not understand what she did wrong. Lucien said that she gets it more than all of you do." He said it really softly. The king's gaze moved across the room, looked at all the nobles. He saw the fear and suspicion on their faces. Some of them even looked like they were thinking hard about what to do next. The lords who had been plotting for a long time would not look him in the eye. The people on the council were getting very uncomfortable in their seats. This was not what they had expected to happen. The nobles had made plans. This was not part of any of those plans. Lucien turned back to Evelyn. He said to her, "You told me that the mark lights up when you are sleeping and having dreams." Evelyn stopped for a moment, then she nodded her head slowly. "Sometimes," she said in a quiet voice. "When Evelyn goes to sleep she sees flames. Evelyn sees stone towers falling down. Evelyn wakes up, screams loudly. Evelyn thought these things were bad dreams." Lucien closed his eyes for a moment, like he was getting ready for something that was going to hurt. When he opened them again, Lucien saw sadness in his eyes. It was old sadness, the kind he had learned to control, and it was hidden deep down under all the years of being in charge. "They did not get rid of you," Lucien said. "They just buried the memory of you." Lucien thought to himself, "They buried you." A quiet noise spread through the room. It was like people were talking softly. The noise of their voices went around the room. It was a murmur that people could hear. The murmur was in the chamber, it filled the space. The High Counselor stepped forward. His silver rings made a soft noise. "Your Majesty," he said in a way, "this is something that has never happened before. A servant with the Blood Moon seal is just not possible. The Blood Moon seal bloodline." Lucien said that something was declared extinct by those people who betrayed others. The temperature in the room dropped instantly. It was like the room got really cold all of a sudden. The temperature in the room was fine. Then it just dropped. The lights from the chandeliers got really dim. Shadows started to get darker and spread out on the walls. The colored glass in the windows began to glow a bit with a red color. This was happening because the king was getting more powerful. Lucien looked at them closely. "If I find out that the High Council was involved in hiding her," he said in a calm voice, "then the High Council will really be in big trouble, the kind of trouble that means they will not exist anymore. The High Council will be gone for good. The High Council will cease to exist." The counselor turned pale and took a step back. Mira held on to her mother tight and she was shaking. She looked up at Lucien and her eyes were open really wide. They were not moving around. She said to Lucien, "Sir, are you angry with my mother?" Lucien just stopped moving all of it. Nobody had talked to him like that in a long time. It had been decades since someone had spoken to him in such a way. He bent down a little so he was at the level as her. He was being very careful and taking his time. "No," he said. His voice was softer now. He spoke in a tone. "I am angry at the people who hurt her," he said, talking about the people who hurt her. Mira looked at the man's face, then she nodded because she was happy with what she saw. "Okay," she said. A weird look crossed Lucien's face. Evelyn looked back and forth between them. She was really confused and very scared. Your Majesty, she said again, I do not know why this is happening to me. I have never wanted any trouble. All I wanted was to do my job and take care of my daughter. Evelyn wanted to be a mother to her daughter. Lucien stood up straight, turned to face the guards. He told them to take Evelyn Hayes and her daughter to the Mooning Tower. He said that nobody should go in without him saying it is okay. Nobody should ask Evelyn Hayes and her daughter any questions. If someone tries to do that, they will have to deal with Lucien himself. The guards bowed instantly. They did this away. The guards showed respect by bowing. People let out breaths of surprise. Gasps erupted all around. The Mooning Tower was a place that belonged to the family. Nobody who was a servant was ever permitted to go inside the Mooning Tower. Evelyn shook her head fast because she was scared. Please, Evelyn does not belong there, Evelyn said to herself. Lucien looked at her in the eye. You should be where the coffee shop lady is not going to hurt you, Lucien said, meaning that she belongs where she is safe and that place is away from the people, so Lucien told her that she belongs where it is safe for her. The guards were moving forward. Mira stopped. She looked back at the throne. The nobles were still really scared. Mom, Mira said quietly. The nobles were staring at Mira and her mom like Mira and her mom did something. Evelyn took a breath and then she swallowed. She said quietly, we did not do that. Evelyn said, we just said what really happened. Lucien watched them go. He had his jaw clenched tight. Lucien was not happy about what he saw, so his jaw was tight. The High Council was talking quietly behind him, but Lucien did not pay attention to them. He was thinking about things that happened a time ago, things that he had tried to forget. The High Council was still whispering to each other. Lucien was too busy remembering the past to listen to what the High Council was saying. A woman is laughing under the light of the moon. The moon is shining down on her. She is laughing. This is a scene with the woman and the moonlight. The woman is really enjoying herself and the moon is making everything look nice. The woman and the moonlight are very beautiful together. A mark was burning when the vows were spoken. The mark was a sign that the vows were really important. The vows were. The mark was still burning. It was like the mark was a reminder of the vows that were spoken. A child is. The sound of the child's cry is getting lost in the loud noise of the fire. The fire is so big. It is making so much noise that you cannot hear the child crying anymore. He said to himself, they told me you were dead, and he said this quietly. The blood moon seal on his palm started to glow, and this time it was even brighter than it was before. The blood moon seal was really shining now. Down below the castle, deep down, the old magic spells started to move. These magic spells were very old. They knew a family that they were told to forget a long time ago. The magic spells remembered this family, the lineage. It was a big deal that they were remembered again. The castle had these wards and they were working, recognizing the lineage. Something that was buried a time ago has come back now. This thing that was hidden for long is back in our lives. Something long buried had. It is really strange. And the kingdom would never be the same again. The woman without a past. The Mooning Tower was closed off a long time ago. People had not been able to go inside the Mooning Tower for generations. The halls of this place were really quiet because no servants had been in them. The windows looked out at the horizon, which was red like blood. This was where the two moons came up every night. When Evelyn and Mira went inside, the doors closed behind them. Made a loud noise that sounded very serious. It was like someone was making a promise. The air inside the castle was warmer than the rest of the place. It was also of buzzing with a strange old power. The walls of the castle seemed to know Evelyn and Mira. Evelyn felt it away. The burning feeling in her arms started to go and something else took its place. It was a feeling like she had been there before. She walked slower and slower. Her breathing got more normal. For years she had this feeling in her chest, but now it was gone. Evelyn put her hand on the stone wall and her fingers were shaking. She looked at the Evelyn stone wall again, the stone wall that seemed to be having an effect on Evelyn. The woman said that she had been to this place before in a quiet voice. Mira looked up at her. You really have? Evelyn shook her head because she was really confused. Evelyn said, I do not remember what happened, but my body remembers it. The guards looked at each other nervously. Did not say a word. They walked away. Left the mother and daughter standing at the entrance of a really big room. This room was filled with moonlight that was coming in through some tall windows that had arches. The curtains that were made of silk were moving a bit even though there was no wind. In the middle of the room there was a bed with carvings on it, and it was covered in red and silver blankets. On the walls there were paintings of a woman who was wearing a crown made of moonfire, but her face was blurry like it had been erased over time. The mother and daughter saw that the woman in the paintings was important. They could not see what she looked like because her face was blurred. The room was very quiet. The only thing that could be seen was the moonlight and the old paintings of the woman with the moonfire crown. Mira walked closer to one mural. Then she tilted her head to the side. She said softly that the woman in the mural looks like Mira. Evelyn's heart skipped a beat. The doors to the chamber opened again before she had a chance to say anything. Then Lucien came in by himself. The king had taken off his crown. The crown was really special to the king. He did not like to remove his crown. This time he had removed his crown. The king looked really different without his armor. He did not look like a king all. He looked like a man who was carrying a burden. The king was wearing a black coat now. His old armor was gone. Even without the armor, the king still had a lot of power. The power that came from the king was still the same. He told me that I am safe here. Nobody can hear what the man and I are talking about. The man said that. Evelyn stiffened instinctively. Your Majesty, I do not understand why Evelyn was being treated this way by Your Majesty, and Evelyn was really confused about the situation. Lucien, he said softly. Do not call me by my title. Not tonight, just Lucien. She stopped for a moment. Then she nodded. Lucien took a step closer to her. He was looking at her arm, which was glowing. I want to know about your life, he said to her. Tell me everything you can remember about your life, all of it. Evelyn swallowed. There is not a lot to tell, she said. I woke up on the edge of a forest 17 years. I did not know anything. I did not have a name. All I had was pain and the mark on my body. She moved her hand a little to show the mark. A man found me. He helped me. He said the castle needed people to work there. So I started working at the castle. I took the name Evelyn Hayes. It made me feel safe being called Evelyn Hayes. The castle was a place where I could be Evelyn Hayes and not have to think about the past. Lucien's fists got all tight, clenched up. He wanted to know what happened before that. The woman said quietly that there is no before. The silence was really thick and uncomfortable between them. It was like you could feel the silence. It was weighing them down. The silence between them was just so heavy. Lucien turned away, started walking really slow. The forest is next to the old place where they used to execute people, he said. That is where they made traitors disappear, they did not just kill them. His voice became very quiet. They took away all their memories and got rid of their identities, so it was like the traitors never existed. The forest borders the execution grounds, and that is a pretty scary place. Evelyn's knees felt really weak. She dropped down to sit on the bed. You are saying someone did this to Evelyn on purpose? Yes. Why? Lucien stopped walking forth and really looked at her. His eyes had a glow, but it was not because he was angry, it was because he was sad. He said, you were a danger to others, that is why I did what I did, because you were dangerous. Mira looked really upset. She said, my mom is not a person, she is not dangerous. Lucien got down to her level again. This does not apply to the people she cares about, he said in a voice. It applies to the people who are scared of what Lucien thinks she represents, what she really is, to them what she means to the people who feared Lucien, and what she stood for, the things that Lucien knows she represents. Evelyn's head hurt a lot. Pictures kept flashing in her mind. A man yelling at people, hands holding her back, and magic messing with her thoughts. Evelyn put her hands on her head. They took something from Evelyn, she said quietly. Something that really mattered to Evelyn. Lucien said they took everything. They did not take your blood though. Lucien said that. He said they took everything from you. Your blood is still yours. Lucien told me that. They took everything, Lucien said. Not your blood. The High Council got together outside the tower. They did this in secret. They wanted to keep what the High Council was doing private. The High Council met outside the tower without telling anyone. One of the lords spoke up, his voice really low and angry. They must not be allowed to stay, he said. If it is proven that they are part of the bloodline, our authority is falling apart, another person said suddenly. A dark figure bent down, his eyes were really cold. The woman and the child have to go, the woman and the child must disappear forever, the woman and the child are gone for good. Lucien was back in Mooning Tower. He felt that the magic protections around Mooning Tower were changing. The wards of Mooning Tower were shifting. Someone was checking the seals to make sure they were working properly. The seals were being tested. The man's face became really tough and stern, his expression hardened. The man told Evelyn that she is not invisible anymore. This is a problem for Evelyn. She is a target now. The man said this to Evelyn. Evelyn is in danger because she is a target. Evelyn looked at him. You could see the fear in her eyes. She said, I never wanted to have power over anything. Evelyn was really scared. She did not want power. Lucien looked at her. He said, power never asks if it is okay. A loud scream was heard in the castle. It was not very clear. It echoed through the halls of the castle. The sound of the scream was faint. It was still scary. The castle halls were filled with the sound of the scream. Mira took Evelyn's hand. That sounded really close. Lucien turned fast toward the door. The people are moving faster than I thought they would, he said. In that moment Evelyn understood something that really scared her. It was a feeling that went deep inside her. Evelyn realized that this thing was very frightening. Her life as a maid had not been coincidence. It had been a hiding place. The child that they tried to take from someone, the child was in a very bad situation and they tried to take the child. The child is the one that they wanted to remove from a place or a person. The child was the target. They tried to take the child. What happened to the child? That is the question. The child that they tried to take, what was the reason behind it? That is what we need to find out about the child. The scream came again. It was closer now. It was louder. It cut through the stone corridors of the Mooning Tower like a loud warning. Lucien moved fast. The air in the Mooning Tower started to feel heavy. Old magic was stirring. You could not see it. It was there. The Mooning Tower had these walls that just appeared around the room to keep everything inside. The magic in the Mooning Tower was strong. The man told me to stay. He said it in a voice, but I could tell he was really worried. His voice did not sound as calm as he wanted it to. The man said, "Stay," again, and I could hear the tension in his voice. Mira's fingers got a grip on Evelyn's sleeve. "Mom," she said in a quiet voice, and her voice was shaking a lot. Evelyn pulled her close. Her heart was beating fast. Then she felt something. It was not fear. There was something too. It was strength. This strength did not come from being powerful. It came from feeling desperate. Evelyn felt the need to protect the person she pulled close. This need to protect gave her the strength she felt. Lucien stopped at the door. Looked back at them. He looked at Mira for a long time. You could see something was bothering him. His face showed a lot of emotions that were hard to understand. Then Lucien just disappeared. He moved fast. It was like he was not even there anymore. The corridor beyond just fell apart. Became totally crazy. The corridor beyond was suddenly a wild place. Still. Shadows screamed. Lucien was like a wind that blew through the intruders. He moved with care, only hitting when he had to. These men were not guards. They had symbols on them that helped them hide. The men had magic in their cloaks that made it hard to know what they were going to do. Lucien fought the intruders with precision. He was very good at fighting. Only used the strength he needed to stop them. The intruders had magic that made them hard to see. Lucien was still able to fight them off. "Assassins," the man said, by order of the High Council, before Lucien stopped him with one move of his hand. Lucien's eyes were burning red. He said, "I am the one in charge. There is no one above me. I have the say. My authority is the highest. There is no authority above Lucien's." He felt it then. A disturbance. It was inside the tower. The man's head turned fast towards the chamber. He looked straight at the chamber. The chamber was what he was looking at now. Evelyn. I went inside and it got really cold all of a sudden. The candles that were on the walls started shaking hard and then they went out one after the other. It was like the darkness was a thing that could move. It came in. Spread across the floor. Evelyn took a step back. Stood in front of Mira to protect her. "Who is there?" Evelyn asked, trying to sound calm. Her voice was steady. She was really scared inside. A person came out of the dark, really tall and wearing a cloak. This person's face was covered by a hood that had some symbols on it, the kind of symbols that people are not supposed to use. The figure spoke in a voice. "The child," the figure said. "You have to give the child to us. Then you can stay alive. We want the child, so give the child to us." Mira made a little sound and hid her face against Evelyn's chest. Evelyn's arm really hurt a lot. It felt like it was on fire. Evelyn's arm was. It was very painful for Evelyn. The blood moon seal was really shining super bright, brighter than it had ever been before. The blood moon seal looked amazing. It was like it was on fire or something. The blood moon seal was truly blazing with a light. Evelyn said, "I do not know who you think I am," and her voice was shaking, but she did not stop talking. She said, "You are not going to touch my daughter," and she meant it. Evelyn was talking about her daughter. She was very serious about this. She did not want anyone to hurt her daughter. Evelyn said this to the person because she was worried about her daughter. The figure laughed in a way. "You do not remember who you are. Your blood remembers everything about you and your blood." The shadows jumped out at me. The shadows were really scary. I did not like the shadows. The shadows seemed to be moving. Evelyn. It was not because she was scared. She screamed because she was being brave and standing up for herself. Evelyn was not going to back down. The light just burst out in every direction. It was like the light exploded outward fast. It was so bright. The light exploded outward. It filled up the whole space. The room was shaking badly when this red energy came out of the seal. It hit the person who was attacking. They went flying into the wall on the other side. The stone in the wall cracked. The person who got hit fell down. They were really dazed. The crimson energy was still pretty scary. The person who was attacked was lying there looking stunned. The crimson energy was still coming from the seal. Evelyn looked at her arm. It was glowing. She was really scared. Evelyn said to herself, "I did that," and she could not believe Evelyn had actually done something like that to her arm. Mira looked up at her mom with wide eyes. Her mom was shining. Mira said, "Mom, you are shining." Before Evelyn could do anything, the doors to the chamber suddenly swung open. Lucien was really mad. He just stood there. He was so angry that you could see it all over his face. Lucien was furious, like he was going to explode at any moment. Lucien looked like he was filled with anger, like it was burning inside of him. When he looked at the assassin who had fallen, at the glowing mark on Evelyn, at Mira who was shaking in her arms, something inside of him just broke. He saw the assassin, Evelyn's glowing mark, and Mira trembling in Evelyn's arms, and that was it. The man took 3 steps and he was all the way across the room. The shadows in the room seemed to wrap around the man. They looked like they were responding to the anger that the man was feeling. The man picked the attacker up with one hand and his eyes were burning with fury. He said to me in a voice, "You dare to touch the things that are under my protection." The assassin tried to say something. The assassin was not able to get the words out. The assassin wanted to talk. It was really hard for the assassin. Lucien decided to end it. He made the choice to end it. The thing that happened is that Lucien ended it. When it got quiet again, Lucien turned around to Evelyn. She thought people would be really mad at her. She expected anger from the people around her. What she saw instead was something that was really bad for her. She saw something that was a lot more dangerous. Fear. The man said to me, "You are awake now." He spoke in a soft voice. Evelyn shook her head, tears were coming down her face. She said, "I did not mean to do that. I was just really scared." Evelyn was scared. Lucien took a step closer to me. "So they were," he said. "That is why they got rid of you," Lucien said. Mira slowly put out her hand, touched Lucien's sleeve. She said to Lucien, "You saved us," and she looked at Lucien with a lot of gratitude. Mira was talking to Lucien. She told Lucien that Lucien saved them. Lucien looked down at the woman in front of him. He was staring at her. The woman was standing there. Lucien looked down at her. "No," he said in a voice. "Your mother is the one who did that." Something changed between all of them at that moment. It was not said loud, but it was really clear. A connection was made between them. It was not just because it was meant to be, but because they all decided to make it happen. Lucien stood up straight, turned to face the window. The twin moons were shining really bright outside. "There is going to be no hiding," Lucien said. "If anyone comes looking for you, they will have to deal with Lucien." Evelyn looked at him. She felt really overwhelmed. "Why are you doing this?" Evelyn wanted to know. "You do not know Evelyn and her family well, so why are you doing this to Evelyn and them?" Lucien looked at her. His voice was really quiet. "I lost you before. It was very bad. I do not want to lose Lucien's person again." She did not understand the words, but her heart reacted anyway. The child that was supposed to be protected by the throne was not safe. The throne was not able to keep the child from harm. This is very sad because the child was counting on the throne for protection. The throne is supposed to be a place of power and safety. It could not protect the child. The child and the throne are not what they seem to be. The child is vulnerable. The throne is weak. The child that the throne could not protect is a sad thing to think about. The castle was wide awake that night. It did not get any rest. The castle was up and about the time. Nothing was calm at the castle. The castle was much alive that night. From the towers to the deepest dungeons, old magic started to work again because the blood moon seal was coming back. A red glow was shining softly through the walls like the blood in your veins, and every vampire who lived in Voss Castle could feel it. They felt a feeling in their chest like someone was whispering to them, and a secret they had been trying to forget was coming back to their mind. The blood moon seal was making all the vampires feel this way. It was like their blood was telling them something. The vampires in Voss Castle could not ignore the blood moon seal and what it was doing to them. Lucien was standing at the window of Mooning Tower. He was looking at the moons moving across the sky. The moons were crossing paths. Behind him, Evelyn was sitting on the bed. Mira was finally asleep in her lap. Mira's little fingers were holding tight to her mother's sleeve. It was like Mira was scared that the world would take her away from her mother if she let go of her sleeve. Lucien was still watching the moons of Mooning Tower. Evelyn said that the girl is not scared of the dark. The girl is scared of being by herself, Evelyn said softly. The dark does not bother the girl. Being alone is what really scares the girl. Lucien turned around slowly. He said, she will not be like that. He also said, not with this. Lucien was talking about the girl. The girl will not be the same. Lucien said that. He said it will not happen again. Evelyn stopped for a moment before she said anything. You keep saying things like that, she said. It is like you already knew Evelyn and the others before you met them. Lucien's jaw got really tight. He said, I did that. Lucien was very serious when he said, I did. The word just hung there between them. It was like the word was suspended in the air waiting for one of them to say something about the word. The word hung between them for what felt like a long time. Evelyn's heart was beating fast. Then tell me, she said in a voice. Please tell me what is going on with Evelyn, she asked Evelyn to tell her. Lucien walked closer. Then stopped. He kept a distance away from me. It was like he was walking up to something that could break easily. There was a woman once, Lucien said. She had the blood moon seal. She did not use it to rule over people. Instead she used it to bring people. She was a bridge between humans and vampires, between power and mercy. This woman believed that the kingdom could be a place where people do not have to be afraid of each other, where the blood moon seal is a symbol of hope, not fear, and where humans and vampires can live together in peace thanks to the blood moon seal. Evelyn's breath caught. They called her a person, Lucien went on. This was not because she wanted to be in charge of everyone. It was because people wanted to follow her. They did it on their own. Images filled Evelyn's mind. She saw crowds of people kneeling down. They were not scared. They were actually very thankful. Then Evelyn saw a little kid laughing and playing under the light of a red moon. She also remembered a promise that someone made under the stars at night. The images of these things stayed in Evelyn's mind. Lucien said that the woman was you. Evelyn's vision got all fuzzy. No, she said in a quiet voice. I do not remember any of that Evelyn experienced. Lucien said this softly. He said, they made sure you would not. There was a knock at the door of the chamber. The sound of the knock was really loud. It echoed all over the chamber. The chamber was filled with the sound of this knock. Lucien turned around fast. Talk to me, Lucien said. A guard's voice came through the door. It sounded really tense. Your Majesty, I need to tell you something about Prince Alaric. Lucien became really stiff all of a sudden. The guard said, he is ill. The guard continued. The person is worse than before. Lucien was gone in an instant. He just disappeared. Lucien was not there anymore. Evelyn followed moments later carrying Mira. Her heart was pounding with a lot of dread that she could not explain. The feeling of dread was really scary for Evelyn. Evelyn was very worried about Mira. Prince Alaric was lying in a room with special marks on the walls to keep him safe. His body was really pale. He was not moving at all. Prince Alaric looked like a kid. He was probably around 10 years old. Prince Alaric had hair that was wet with sweat and he was breathing really slowly. The healer said that he has not woken up. None of the magic that the healers are using is working on him. The healer is really worried because he has not woken up yet. The magic that they are using is just not working on the person. Lucien got down on his knees beside the bed. He was not doing well for the first time. Lucien said, he is my son. Lucien whispered this. The last of my family line, Lucien said. Evelyn's arm was hurting her again. The pain in Evelyn's arm was really bad. It burned much that Evelyn could feel it all the time. Evelyn's arm was burning again. It was very uncomfortable for Evelyn. Mira moved around in her sleep, then she woke up all of a sudden. Her eyes were really wide. He is hurting, Mira whispered. The room fell silent. It was like the room had stopped breathing or something. The room was completely silent now. Lucien looked at her sharply. He said, what did you say to me? Mira slipped out of Evelyn's arms. Walked slowly to the bed. She was not afraid. Mira reached out. Put her little hand on Alaric's chest. The blood moon seal suddenly lit up. Alaric gasped. Light filled up the room as the sigils started to react. They were glowing a lot brighter than they ever had before. The healer took a step back because she was really shocked by what was happening with the sigils. Lucien just stopped moving. He was staring. Mira looked really serious. He is a lonely person, she said in a quiet voice. He is also really scared. Alaric's eyes slowly came open. Lucien's breath caught in his throat all of a sudden. The prince turned his head weakly looking at Mira. He had a smile on his face. You feel warm, the prince whispered to Mira. Lucien started to cry. Tears fell down his face before he could do anything to stop them. Tears just kept coming down Lucien's face. Evelyn fell to her knees. She was really overwhelmed. Evelyn said that she did not do anything, Evelyn said in a voice. Evelyn felt that she just felt him, that is all Evelyn did. Lucien got up slowly. He kept looking at Mira the time. Mira did what my throne could not do, he said. Mira was able to reach him. The healer bowed low. This child has a kind of healing, he said. The child is about helping others, not about being powerful but about showing compassion to people. The child has a lot of compassion. Lucien turned to Evelyn. His voice was low and steady. He said to Evelyn that they did not just fear Evelyn. They feared what Evelyn's kindness could create. Evelyn looked at him. She felt something strong and calm growing inside of her. Then maybe it is time that people stop deciding what Evelyn thinks is worthy of existing, Evelyn said, her voice firm. For the time in a very long time Lucien smiled. He was not smiling like a king. Like Lucien, a man who had found hope again. Somewhere deep in the castle the people who had made plans against others felt that something was changing. The people who had plotted felt the shift. The child had finally been found out. The child was now known to everyone. This was a deal for the child. And she could not be erased. When the king chose love over the throne, it was a big deal. The king had to make a choice between being in charge and being with the person he loved. He decided that love was more important than being the king. The king chose love over the throne. That changed everything for him. The king was very happy with his decision to choose love over the throne. The healing chamber was really quiet. For a time after Prince Alaric fell back into a peaceful sleep. Prince Alaric was finally. The healing chamber was still. Lucien stood at the bedside, one hand resting lightly against the carved stone frame. He was afraid that if he moved the moment might break. His son Lucien's son was breathing steadily now. Color was slowly coming back to Lucien's son's skin. For the time in years there was no pain on Lucien's son's face. Behind him Evelyn watched quietly. She felt bad when she saw the father. This was a man who had controlled parts of the world, but now he could not do anything to help his child. Evelyn saw that he was powerless beside his kid. The father had been in charge of empires. Now he was helpless. Lucien said this after a while. His voice was really quiet and calm. They tried to kill him, Lucien said. They did not use knives or anything like that. They used silence to try and kill him. They used a kind of poison that hurts the family from the inside. It eats away at the bloodline from within. Evelyn swallowed. She said, because Evelyn thinks that he is the heir of Evelyn's family. Lucien said yes. He thought that if people remembered the person, then they could remember you too because of him. Evelyn felt the truth settle deeply in her chest. She said loud, all of this, and then she whispered, because of Evelyn. Lucien turned around to face her completely. No, he said in a voice. It is because of fear, he said. Lucien was talking about fear. Fear was the reason. Before Evelyn could say anything, the doors to the chamber suddenly swung wide open. The High Council just walked in without asking if they could come in. They did not get permission to enter. The High Council entered the room anyway. The robes of the council members swept across the floor. The council members had faces. The council members had eyes that were sharp with desperation. The council members were standing around the counselor with the silver ring who had spoken earlier. This counselor was standing at the center of the council members. The expression of the counselor with the silver ring was tight. The counselor with the silver ring was barely able to restrain his fury. This has gone too far, he said. The woman and the child are really messing up the realm. Lucien straightened up slowly. The man told him that he would have to get down on his knees. He said this in a voice. Nobody moved. Evelyn felt Mira press closer to her side. She could tell Mira sensed the tension between them. The tension was really strong. Mira was trying to be close to Evelyn. The counselor lifted his chin. You are in charge because of the way things have always been done, Your Majesty. This is what the rules say. And the rules are very clear. The Blood Moon Seal is for the throne. The Blood Moon Seal is something that belongs to the throne and no one else. Lucien's eyes glowed this red color. He said that the law was made by people who were scared of being kind to others. The law was written by men who feared mercy. The counselor sneered at me. Then you are saying it loud. The woman is the danger. Lucien's power, really. The whole chamber started trembling. He said, she is the truth that you buried. The council actually pulled out their weapons. They were ready to fight. The council had these weapons in their hands now. That was their mistake. Lucien did not attack away. He moved to the side. That is when you could see Evelyn and Mira standing behind Lucien. Look at the maid and the child, Lucien said to me. The maid and the child are just standing there. I do not know what it is about the maid and the child that scares me. Lucien wants to know what it is about the maid and the child that is so frightening. The counselor looked at Mira and his eyes stayed on Mira for a little long. Evelyn felt it then. Her instinct was sharper than her fear. The woman took a step forward. She moved forward with the woman being the one who stepped forward. Lucien looked at Evelyn in surprise. He said, "Evelyn." "No," she said softly. "It is my turn." The room was really quiet all of a sudden. The chamber fell silent. It was like nobody was breathing in the chamber. Evelyn went on, her voice was steady. She said, "I do not remember my past." Evelyn remembers what it is like to be small. Feels bad to be invisible. Evelyn feels hurt when people with power think they can do whatever they want to her just because they have power over Evelyn. She looked at the counselor. "You got rid of me because I would not bow down to you," she said, looking at the counselor. The counselor was the one she was talking to. She made sure the counselor knew that. "I was erased by the counselor because I did not want to bow down," she said, again talking about the counselor. "The blood moon seal has started to burn. The blood moon seal is now on fire. This means that the blood moon seal is really burning now. The blood moon seal is burning strongly. Not violently, but brilliantly." The walls had this glow to them. The old paintings on the wall started to change, showing things that were hidden underneath the stone. These were secrets. They were pictures of people doing things to each other. There were scenes where some important people were telling others to make someone forget things. I saw guards pulling Evelyn away. Lucien was yelling out her name, Evelyn. The pictures showed a lot of stuff like people betraying each other, and it was all connected to Evelyn and what happened to her. The walls were like a storybook telling us about the past, about Evelyn and Lucien. People in the room let out loud gasps. The room was filled with gasps. The castle itself was really a witness to everything that happened. The castle saw it all go down. Lucien looked at the walls. His breath stopped. He said quietly, "You showed them." Evelyn shook her head. "I did not mean to do that. I just told the truth about what Evelyn thought was going on." The counselors took a step back. Fear was written over the counselors' faces. The counselors were really scared. "This is impossible," one of them cried out. Lucien stepped forward. He was totally in charge. "No," Lucien said. "This is what we call justice." The man raised his hand. He was trying to get someone's attention with his hand. The hand was raised high in the air. The man was waiting for someone to notice his hand. The man did not hit anything. He just stood there. The man did not strike. He looked at Evelyn instead. The man said, "What do you want me to do?" in a voice. He was asking what he should do next. The man wanted to know what to do. The room just stopped moving. Everything in the room froze. It was like time had stopped for the room. A king asking a former maid for judgment. Evelyn looked at him, her heart beating fast. She said it quietly, "End it." She did not mean it in a way. "End Evelyn and his problem," she said, "not by killing someone, by telling the truth." Evelyn wanted the truth to come out. Lucien nodded. The magic of the council was taken away fast. The council's titles were gone. The council's authority was completely gone too. The guards came in. Tied up the council members with chains that had special symbols on them to keep the council's magic from coming back. Lucien said to me, "You will live and you will remember what the fire was trying to destroy, what you were trying to destroy, the things that you tried to destroy." The council was taken away. The castle felt better. The old magic that was inside the castle started to feel more peaceful and calm. The castle was cleaner. Felt really good. The ancient magic was still there. It was not as wild as it was before. The castle and the ancient magic were now more calm. Lucien turned back to Evelyn and Mira. He looked at Evelyn. Then he looked at Mira too. Lucien was talking to Evelyn and Mira again. The man said that they changed everything. He was very upset. He said that they changed everything. The man felt that this change was a deal and he wanted to talk about how they changed everything. Evelyn shook her head a bit. "Did you?" Becomes Evelyn shook her head a little bit. Evelyn said, "You did that too." Evelyn shook her head a bit. Evelyn said, "You did that too." The woman's eyes met the man's eyes. For a moment there was no throne, no crown, no power, only two souls standing in the aftermath of truth. Lucien reached out. Then he hesitated for a moment. After that he gently took Evelyn's hand. The blood moon seal responded away. The blood moon seal did what it was supposed to do. The moment it was called upon, it reacted instantly. The blood moon seal was very quick to respond. Not with fire. With warmth. The queen and the king, they never stopped loving each other. The queen loved the king much and the king loved the queen just the same. The queen and the king had a lot of love for each other. That is something that the queen and the king never lost. The castle felt really different after they took the council away. The castle just was not the same anymore. Everything about the castle felt different because the council was gone from the castle. It is not quieter. It feels lighter, like something that was weighing us down is gone. The red color that used to shine through the walls is now a silver color. The servants who always used to walk with their heads down are now walking the halls with a little more confidence, looking around in wonder. They are whispering to each other about the truth of the crimson glow and the servants and the truth that has finally come out. The servants and the truth are a deal, and everyone is talking about the servants and the truth. Evelyn was standing on the balcony of Mooning Tower. She was looking out at the horizon. The dawn was slowly coming up. It was replacing the dark night that had a bloody red color. Behind her, Mira was sleeping. Mira was all curled up under some heavy blankets. She was safe now. That was a big relief. Evelyn was still looking out at Mooning Tower's view, watching the Mooning Tower horizon as the dawn kept coming up over the Mooning Tower landscape. Lucien went over to her. He did not make any noise when he joined her. For a long time the person and the other person just said nothing. Evelyn said this to me in a voice. She told me that I could have been in charge by myself. I did not need her help to be the leader. Evelyn said I could have ruled alone. I did not need to stand with Evelyn. Lucien looked at the rising sun. Did not look away. I was in charge by myself for a long time, he said. It was a bad experience and it almost destroyed Lucien. Evelyn turned toward him. What is going to happen with Evelyn and him? Lucien turned to face her completely. Now the kingdom remembers what it is supposed to be, Lucien said, looking at her with an expression. The kingdom remembers who it was meant to be. He lifted his hand up. The blood moon seal started to shine. It did not hurt or feel forceful, it just kept shining. Evelyn felt the mark on her body react. She felt warmth moving into her arm, then into her chest, and even into parts of her that she did not know were feeling empty. The blood moon seal was still shining and Evelyn could feel its effect on her. The warmth from the blood moon seal was spreading through her body. Memories came back to me slowly. The memories returned slowly. It took some time for the memories to come back slowly. Not all at once. Lucien is younger. He is kneeling in front of her. He is not doing this as a king. As a man. He is asking her to trust him, to really believe in him. Lucien wants her to see that he is a person, not just the king. He is looking for her trust, for her to have faith in Lucien. A vow spoken beneath moonlight, not of domination but of protection. She had to make a choice. Her choice was to hide, to survive, and to protect her child. This was because the council turned against her and she wanted to keep her child safe. Her child was the important thing to her, so she did what she had to do to protect the child when the council was being mean to her. The council turning against her made her choice very clear. She had to hide, she had to survive. She had to protect her child at all costs. Evelyn had tears running down her face. She said in a quiet voice, "You actually tried to find me." Lucien said, "I looked everywhere for you until people told me you were really gone. I believed what people said because hoping you would come back hurt more than knowing I would never see you again. The pain of hoping for you was worse than knowing I had lost you for sure." Evelyn reached for the hand of the person she was with. Evelyn wanted to hold that hand. The hand belonged to someone Evelyn cared about, so Evelyn reached for it. This time the man did not hesitate. He just went ahead. Did what he had to do. The man did not hesitate this time. The seals of the people involved lined up well and you could see the light moving between them. It was like the light was a connection that was alive. The seals were connected in a special way and the light flowing between the seals was beautiful to see. The seals and the light together made it seem like the people were linked by a living bond. That was really something to see. The light between the seals was like a bridge that connected them. Lucien said this softly. "You were never really weak," Lucien said. "People were actually scared of you because Lucien thought you made having power not necessary." Footsteps echoed softly behind the people. The sound of footsteps was really quiet. It was like someone was trying not to be heard. The footsteps kept echoing behind the people. Mira stood in the doorway rubbing her eyes. She said, "Mom." Mira wanted to know if the scary part was over. She asked her mom that question. Mira really wanted to know about the part. Evelyn got down on her knees. Opened her arms wide. Mira did not hesitate, she ran into Evelyn's arms. Evelyn held Mira tightly. Mira felt safe in Evelyn's arms. Lucien looked at the child. Saw the connection between two worlds. This child was like a bridge that linked everything together. When Lucien saw the child, he felt a sense of peace that he had never felt before, not even when he won something. The child was special. Lucien felt happy when he looked at the child, the bridge between worlds. Evelyn said yes softly. She said, "It really is." The coronation was not grand. There were no trumpets, no blood rituals, no fear. Lucien was standing in front of the people of Voss Castle. Evelyn was beside him. She was holding his hand. Mira was standing between Lucien and Evelyn. She was holding Lucien's fingers and Evelyn's fingers. It was like Mira was keeping Lucien and Evelyn tied to the future. Lucien and Evelyn were really counting on this future with the people of Voss Castle. Lucien said that this kingdom was built on fear. The fear is what almost destroyed the kingdom. He turned to Evelyn. This woman was completely forgotten because she thought that showing mercy was the thing to do. He turned to Mira. This child was able to make something that the power of magic could not make better. The man got down on his knees. People in the hall were really surprised. They just gasped. The hall was filled with gasps. Lucien Voss, the vampire king, bowed down his head. He looked at Evelyn. Said, "Will you stand with me?" He wanted her to be with him not because he was in charge. Because she was a queen and he wanted her to be beside him. He really wanted Evelyn to be his partner, to stand with him as a queen, not below him or above him. Right beside him. Evelyn's voice shook, and that was not because she was scared, it was because she was really sure. She said yes. The castle gave an answer. Light came into every room, every hallway, every place where the truth was hidden. The blood moon seal changed. It was not a sign of power over others. A sign of people coming together as one. The blood moon seal was now about unity, not one person being in charge of everyone else. The blood moon seal was a symbol of people working together in harmony. The servants cried. The guards bent their heads down low. It even seemed like the old stone walls let out a breath of relief. That night the kingdom was really quiet for the first time in a very long time. Lucien and Evelyn were standing outside under the light of the twin moons. The kingdom was sleeping peacefully. Lucien and Evelyn were together looking up at the moons. Lucien said that you saved him. He said it quietly. Evelyn shook her head. She said, you decided to listen to what was being said. Mira laughed between them. Her joy was really bright. She felt very happy and free. Mira's joy was not weighed down by anything. It was a happy feeling that Mira had. And for the first time in centuries, the Vampire King smiled, not as a ruler but as a man who had finally come home.